enslaved Africans herself. That's probably not how she said it, but that was the idea. And so in 1685 was when he built the Charles, and for 10 years they went back and forth, and over time he learned about that business. So he started off going to West Africa, and then he heard there were cheaper people in South Africa, and then ultimately the real deals were in Madagascar. So when I was making her, I believe that these are my artwork, they have souls. So I wanted to name her, and originally I wanted to name her a name from Guinea, but I couldn't find any names from Guinea. So I'm like, well, Liberia is right next door. So Isati is a Liberian name. So again, I like the details. So the idea is that she is in motion, and oh yeah, she's not a statue, she's a person. I'm trying to humanize her, which is why she looks like something has caught her eye. She's going a long way, but she sees something over there. Now, where she was originally supposed to go, which is up by the Phillips Manor Hall, those of you that know the history of that place, from the front door of the Phillips Manor Hall, there used to be a very long driveway where people used to park their horses at the end and then come up the walk to the house. So originally, where she would have been standing, can somebody get that phone? Where she would have been standing, she would have been looking in that direction. Hold on one second. I know what I'm saying. It's like, where's my person at the door? Anyway, excuse me. So, again, for me, the strongest thing on this artwork is her face. I absolutely love her face. She has life in her eyes. You can almost feel her thoughts. And of course, it's not for me to tell you, it's for you to decide for yourself what is her story. So the hole in the back, just so you know, there's a piece that screws in there that allows them to lay her down in the truck to transport her, and because this is soft, and you don't want her to smash. So this shape is for the slave ship. Next week after they pick her up, I'll go out to Long Island City and hang out for a couple of days. And the slave ship schematic, most of you are familiar with the iconic where they used to pack people like sardines. So that's what this is going to be. In there you can see the armature. She is not solid clay. There's a wooden skeleton inside that we put the plastiline on top so that she's stable. Like she'll rock, but she won't turn over. Okay? So on the back, she's a story. I'm a storyteller. And this is the story. So here, for people, because I'm not going to be there, she should be self-explanatory. For people, it's like, okay, so this story must be about Africa, because there's the continent. And again, in this very small impression, you have all of the iconic animals. So, we don't have elephants and giraffes and things like that roaming around. These things are indicative to the continent. And then Angola and Madagascar, Angola encompasses several countries. I just learned that myself because I knew that they had gone to different countries, but I didn't realize that Angola was like a region. And so, again, this is to try to qualify where she came from, or where she may have come from, or where these people came from. She represents a group of people. And so then, of course, I use Adinkra symbols because these days, those of us who are very much into the diaspora and the meaning, these two symbols are very important because one of them is, we pay homage to God. And these folks sustain themselves with their beliefs that, God is going to deliver me no matter how hard my life is. And of course, even today, most people feel that way. Everybody goes through fire, at some point or another. And at some point, you have to say, oh my God, and ask for mercy and pray. Whether you do it directly or whether you just wish for something, that's still a prayer. Your expectations are your prayers. And so this story is also about the Middle Passage. So down here we have technically the ocean. And at the time that I was thinking about what to do with this, I saw a hummingbird die on Main Street. I actually stood there and watched it. And I said, I just want to do an individual because oftentimes when you see mass death, 9/11, the Holocaust, slavery, it loses some of its power as opposed to an individual. You forget that these are 3,000 individuals, 12 million individuals, people, individual souls. And so this is a man who is about to be lost at sea as the ship sails off without him. The other thing is that I wanted to use different kinds of language. So of course I have symbols, but I also have Braille. And this Braille says, "My soul looks back lest I forget." What's interesting about the Braille is when I showed this in the original exhibition, the small one, this woman told me that she was so happy that I had put Braille on there because she had a 4-year-old who was going blind and he was learning Braille, and she was happy that when this will be finished, he'll be able to touch it and know something about what it means. For me, I was born in Yonkers, and I lived here from from birth to 4th grade. I went to school 19 and school 9, and I was in a visually handicapped class. Hi, I'm legally blind without my contact lenses. So the class that I was in, we never had more than 6 students. So grade 1 through 4, I was one of 6 or less. In my grade, there was always only 2 people, me and Susan Green. Susan Green was blind. I was not. Susan Green learned Braille by touch. I had to sit next to her and wait for my turn. I learned Braille on sight. I knew what an A, a B, a J, I knew what it looked like. And so I thought to myself, I always liked the idea that she could touch it and know what it said. I would look at it and have to interpret, okay, so that's an A and that's a, I'd have to think about it. She could just run her fingers over it and read it. And I liked that idea that somebody can touch that and know that it says something and that what it says has a certain kind of meaning. So that's what she's about. This particular sculpture was funded by the New York State Council on the Arts. And this is year 7, 16 is year 8 that I've been working on this. And last year I was a little irritable because I was tired. So when I wrote the proposal to New York State, I challenged them. Normally I'm asking nicely. Last year I said, it's been 150 years since the Emancipation Proclamation, and the United States has made public artworks of just about everything in American history. But if you Google, there are no major public artworks to honor the enslaved Africans as a group. The closest thing we have to it is, in 2000, I think 14 or 15, in New Orleans, an attorney bought a plantation and turned it into a museum, and he hired Woodrow Nash to create the artwork for this museum. And what irritates the sugar out of me is that whenever you see anything about the plantation, they never mention Woodrow Nash's name. You see his artwork and they never say sculpture by Woodrow Nash, and the sculpture is what gives that place the energy, and they just don't do it. The difference between Woodrow and myself is they commissioned Woodrow. In this particular instance, I commissioned myself. I came up with an idea, I went to the city, I said, what do you think about this? I think it's important that we do it. It's an important piece of history. It's like John Jay. A lot of people know the name John Jay because you got the college, but most people don't know that John Jay wrote the first law to free enslaved Africans 66 years before the Emancipation Proclamation. Nobody talks about that. And so I was like, I think that that's something that Yonkers should claim. That's a big deal. For black people, it's a big deal. And I think for the world, it should be a big deal. And so the city was generous and said, okay. And so the city gave $50,000, and I found $50,000. And that enabled me to do the maquettes and the site plan illustration so I could show them what I was thinking. And so, of course, with that, I said I want to partner with everybody in the community. So my first partner, of course, was Arts Westchester. I said, I don't have a 501c3. I went to Janet. I said, I want you to be the godmother to this baby. And Janet was like, I don't have any money. I said, no, I'm going to bring you the money. I just need you to care for this and to help me shepherd it through. So, again, I went to the African American Heritage Committee, and said, I need you to be a godparent, I need you to be a fiscal administrator. Everybody has, it's like the village thing. It takes a village to raise a child. Everybody's supposed to participate in this. And so in that process, when we had the first exhibition, and the second one, and the third, and Sarah Lawrence College is going to be the fourth, each time we did it, I'm an old car salesperson. I don't mind calling people cold and asking for something. And so I went around to everybody. It's like, what can you give me? Can it be money, an in-kind service? You know, what can you give to make this project work? And of course, like for instance, you like my lovely flowers? Mm-hmm. The gentleman who made Ella's pedestal for me, every time I have an event, he gives me free flowers. Mm-hmm. Okay, I called him, I said, Joe, if I need money, you need to tell me up front. I want three really wonderful floral arrangements. Let me send you a picture of my couch. And Joe was like, oh girl, look, I got you. And I'm like, thank you. And so, you know, I can't tell you what he would charge for something like that. But again, it makes an impact. It's like, no, we're trying to do this at a certain level. This is not chicken dinner fundraising. You know, we've gone way beyond that. So at this point, I'm so happy to have gotten this far with her. And what I realized is that a lot of people don't get to come into the studio to see a work in the middle. This is the middle, because the next time you see her, she's going to be bronze. And the bronze looks very different than the plastilina. And so, you know, again, it's one of those things, kind of when you're having a baby, and you're like, oh, this is our sonogram picture. You know, you're like, yeah, it kind of looks like you. You know, and then finally you get to see the real baby. It's kind of like that effect. It's like, this is the 3D sonogram. You get to walk around it, look at it, you know, come and talk about it, and hopefully go away and tell people, I saw it. I saw it. Oh my God. You didn't see it? Wait till you see it. You know, this is good PR. You know, you guys will go away and say, no, she had this private thing in her studio, and it was just, oh my God, you should see the sculpture. If you haven't seen the pictures, go on her Facebook page. That's the purpose of this event. So I'm really glad you guys came. Hi, Tony. And so, please, if you got questions, now is the time.
Was you put your face on picture?
No.
I mean, she had, this is a face of,
she just came, yeah. You know, and it's funny because this face is a little different than that face. I mean, if you really look at that face, when she came, you know, the enlarger brings me a rough of this. So when she comes, it's kind of like the invasion of the body snatchers. You know, kind of look like you, but not finished. And so when she came, she was like that, and I was like, I gotta fix the face. The face is wrong. I was like, doesn't look. So, you know, I wanted her to be stunning, frankly, you know, because I'm trying to show the majesty of these people. And then here's the other thing. A lot of people don't realize that this is New York. We do everything different here. This is not Alabama, Mississippi, or Georgia. And so this is also a different era. This is not after they decided to make all these laws to oppress these people. This is when they were still feeling a little philanthropic and said, well, no, we're just going to work them for maybe 5 or 7 years, and then we're going to free them and let them have some land. We just want them to work free for a little while. So in the beginning, America was black. It was like for every 5 people, 4 of those people were black. And they took care of them because there was nobody else here. So these people had all of the good jobs before the Europeans had. So you've got carpenters and blacksmiths, and you know, you have all these people that have these really wonderful jobs, and they were cared for. You know, I had a woman lambaste me on Facebook about the boatman over there. She said, oh, you put him in a monkey suit and you think that makes slavery okay? And I said, excuse me, did you look at my website? Did you read what I even said on this post? I was like, the boatman was the most revered enslaved African there was. They didn't even treat him like he was enslaved, okay? This was the guy who enabled them to go from New York to West Africa, to South Africa, to Madagascar, possibly make a stop in Europe. So let's stop by the plantation in Bermuda and get back without too much loss. This guy was the most valuable guy. Yeah, they dressed him like that. And oh yeah, it's $16.99. That's how they dressed. And then I deleted her. You know, need your energy like that. Why don't you ask me a question before you bust my chops? But again, that was good for me because I'm realizing that people have this stereotypical idea about what they think enslaved Africans were, and it's like, I'm sorry, New York. Everybody thinks they came here to get away. It's like, oh no, New York was financing slavery. The original owners of J.P. Morgan insured the ships. I mean, there was a whole thing going on here. And of course, New York City talks about, their slave history. We know about the African burial ground, and we're learning things about other burial grounds in New York City, and they're probably all over. So where are the Africans buried in Westchester? So we're learning. There's some over in Port Chester, and they're starting to discover them in Harrison. It's like, but where are the Yonkers enslaved Africans? For that matter, where are the Native Americans? I mean, we don't know. But that doesn't mean that you can't acknowledge them. And so this is the purpose of this project, and I made it big on purpose because when I Googled, and I Googled and Googled, and I'm still Googling, I'm like, I can't believe that it hasn't been done yet. So the beauty of Facebook, I have one Facebook page, 4,999. On the second Facebook, there's 2,100. On the fan page, there's 2,800. It's like over 12,000 people when I add up all the Facebook pages that I have. And these people engage me on the daily. I mean, they make me sound like I'm the next best thing after sliced bread. One woman said to me, you're the next wave after the Smithsonian Museum. Now we got the museum now, it's going to be you. This is the next wave. And I was like, ooh, thank you for telling me that, because I hadn't even really put it in that context. I know this is big, but it's like, okay, so we got the museum down. Can we please finish the rain garden? I intend to live that long.
Oh my
Any
goodness.
other questions while I'm talking?
Can't you go hike?
Hi, meet the baby.